Welcome, everyone, to the Sport Fuels Life podcast. I'm Bill Riddle, your host. We hope you enjoy our latest episode.
All right, welcome everybody to Sport Fuels Life podcast. I'm Bill Riddle, your host. We are super excited because today we've got former football player, college player, pro player Ryan Shazier. Ryan, man, thanks for being here with us today on the Sport Fuels Life podcast.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be on it and just talk about my story, about my journey and what kind of got me where I'm at now.
Yeah, man, it's a kind of an incredible story, and kind of doing a little research on you. Go Steelers, right?
Yes, sir.
Look, growing up, we all, have these people that we kind of look to, and you want to kind of emulate as you're a young athlete growing up. Who were some of the people that maybe you looked towards and at when you were growing up as a young athlete?
So one of the guys that I used to like to watch a lot and I thought somebody that was truly inspiring to me was Muhammad Ali. He was someone that, he went through a lot of adversity, especially, but obviously I wasn't around at that time, but he went through a lot of adversity and just to see how he overcame it, he was still the people's champion. When it comes to sports, I like the guys like Jason Taylor. I was a kid with alopecia. So with me being a kid with alopecia, I like the Jason Taylor a lot because, he was a ball guy and I didn't have to really worry too much about I used to kind of look up to him, but then I also liked the Derrick Brooks. When it came to the linebacker play, as I got a little bit older, him and Patrick Willis. I used to move around and think about a lot of different guys when it came to sports, but the person I really looked up the most to was my father. He was there for me every day. We talked about everything. When it came to sports, I wouldn't be who it was without my parents. They literally they didn't have everything, but they just showed up every day and they work through adversity and just show me that no matter what you're going through, they had that foundation that mattered to me and that I can always lean on, I can always talk to, I can always feel better about, and I just and those are the two that I really leaned on more.
Yeah, you don't hear Muhammad Ali that often, right?
Yeah.
That's a great one though. That's a great one. Now, were you only football, or were you looking at? Did you play some other sports growing up that kind of helped you to develop as an athlete?
So when it came to other sports, I I liked other sports. I enjoy watching them. And when I was younger, the thing is with other sports, they're like more graceful and it's like you control the pace that you're playing at. So with basketball, it's more of a slower pace until you have to speed up. With baseball, it's more of, you're waiting, you're waiting, you're waiting, then the ball comes. Or you're waiting, and you have to wait for your pitch. You can't just swing at anything. And when it came to track, I was really fast, but when I was trying to get to the level of football that I was trying to get to, me running track wasn't really the route to go because I started to lose a lot of weight. So I liked a lot of other sports, but when it came to just the way I played full speed all the time, football was the one that I gravitated to the most because you don't really have to you control your speed when you're playing football, but a lot of times you're going, A to B in 4 to 6 seconds, giving everything you got, and
Right.
and I think that's why I was so good at football.
Well, I got to ask this question because Sport Fuels Life is kind of rooted in the tennis world, and as you can see behind me here, I got the rackets up. Did you ever try any tennis? Because tennis is kind of like that boxing match without the gloves, man.
Yeah. Oh, that's tennis. I thought that was pickleball. No, I'm messing with you.
Come on, man.
I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. Yeah. Nah. So I tried tennis when I was younger, but it was just more when you go to a summer camp and they're just like, "Hey, look, this is tennis." Honestly, since I've been injured, executive director of my foundation, she actually played tennis collegiately. She used to work for the USA Tennis Association. So me and her, we've been talking a lot about it, and I've been learning a little bit from her. I can't like really run across the court, but she's been kind of teaching me. And the thing that's actually pretty awesome is this week, I mean, not this week, the end of this month, we're actually having a tennis event that raises money for my foundation.
Fantastic. Where's that going to be?
It's going to be in Pittsburgh.
Okay. Okay. Well, man, I hope it's a huge success because my day job, I'm a college tennis coach, and by
Really?
afternoon at night, so I'm doing this. But yeah, that's my day job.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Well, kind of shifting gears though. Was there maybe a moment in your career, and it could be collegiately or professionally, that you're kind of most proud of, or maybe there's one
So,
of each?
so the thing that's so crazy about my career, I have a lot of plays that I look back and I'm like, man, I'm still in awe that I was able to make some of them, and
Right.
I was truly blessed to be able to make some of them. But when I kind of look back at everything, I would say the biggest one wasn't a play. It would be me walking again after my injury, because football, it really gave me a platform. I wouldn't be on this podcast with you right now if I didn't play for the Steelers or I didn't play for Ohio State. But it really taught me how to fight back through the hardest chapter of my life, and that was my spinal cord injury. It really helped me figure out who I was, and it helped me really kind of shape everything in my life. So I would say pretty much overcoming my injury was probably the biggest moment of my life I was kind of proud of, because you know I got injured playing the game I love, and I'm still involved in the game I love. But to be able to do something that people said I wouldn't be able to do, and be able to walk again, I would say that's probably the biggest moment I'm proud of.
Was there a time during that you were like, man, this is I don't know if I can do this, but then something kind of clicked and you're like, you know what, just keep fighting? Because I think as an athlete, we always go through those times where, man, I'm just trying to get through this workout, I'm just trying to get through this day, I'm trying to get through this game. And as athletes, we learn to kind of like push through that. Is that one of the pieces that maybe helped you through?
Yeah, what helped me through this is I just kind of focused on what I can control, and because when it comes to football, this is how I always looked at it. Every game, somebody gets the opportunity to make a play. Everybody. The thing is are you going to be where you're supposed to be at? Are you going to actually make it when it happens? But when you're playing a sport, it doesn't matter if you're playing tennis, it doesn't matter if you're playing golf, it doesn't matter if you're playing, darts. I don't know about darts, but with sports, there's almost 100% injury rate. There's a way that you can get injured playing a sport. It doesn't matter what sport you play, and the thing is, you always have to find a way to bounce back and focus on what you can and get better every single day. And I really feel that helped me understand that through my injury, don't look at this as a life changing injury. Look at this as an opportunity to take one step, get one first down at a time, and pretty much follow the game plan. Don't worry about what everything else looks like. Don't worry about what everybody else is saying. When you tear your Achilles, people tell you that, back in the day they told people you'll never play football again. But guys are, in record time. And that's kind of how I looked at my injury. I was like, I want to look at this as a Achilles tear or a hamstring, or I broke my ankle, or I tore my ACL. I'm just taking it one day at a time. I know it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, and just focus on what I can focus on.
Well, it's funny. I always love talking with you know, older athletes after you've been around for a while, right? And you wake up, and I'm like this myself, dude. You wake up in the morning and something's always hurting, but at least you know you're alive and you're moving, right?
Yeah.
Um, going through some of those things that you went through, is there some advice that you would give to maybe young athletes or coaches that are watching this, that things now that you would have done a little bit differently to kind of continue to prepare your body and your mind for where you are now?
So there was something that we were taught at Ohio State, and it's E plus R equals O. And it was a guy named Tom and Brian Kif, I think that's her last name because I don't think it's Knight. And and they came to talk to the team, and they said something that's called E plus R equals O. And to me, a lot of guys and a lot of people will come talk to a team and try to find ways to motivate them. But what they said to me, I still hold on to this day. They said in everybody's life, there's an event that happens in your life, and there's going to always be a response that happens. But your response controls the outcome. And it's really about focusing on what you can control. But pretty much, no matter what happens in your life, you're going to have an E and you're going to have an R. But your R affects that outcome. So a lot of times in life, something will happen and people will make excuses and they'll get upset or they'll get sad or they're saying somebody's cheating or things don't go the way that they want them to go. But if something happens in your life, you have an event in your life and it doesn't go well, or it does go well, the way you respond to it always affects the outcome. If somebody's cheating you and then you go out there and work harder, and so the next time you don't put the game in the ref's hands. Now the outcome is you win, or the outcome is you learn something that you didn't do before. Maybe you were in a big game and you dropped an interception, and you guys end up losing because the interception you dropped was on the last drive of the game. The response could be you go back out there the next week and then practice on the jugs machines more than you ever did. So then now the next time an opportunity comes, you don't drop that play. Maybe, in tennis, you haven't been practicing your backhand enough, and it's a situation where you actually need your backhand, but you haven't practiced it enough, and then you can't get to the ball or you can't hit the ball the way you want to do it. But then you go back out there and respond in a way of humility and just understand how, like, what you need to do to make the situation better. And then the thing is, you can also go back and look at what you did because you've seen what the outcome was when you did it a certain way. So now being able to change your response with the same event, and then now the outcome could be different. And to me, I still carry that to this day. It actually helps me a lot when I'm speaking because it just talks about events and how I responded and when it was a good response and when it was a bad response. But you're always going to have, the thing is in your life, there's always going to be three things. You're always going to have an event, you're always going to have a response, and there's always going to be an outcome. And then sometimes the outcome isn't defined yet, but the way you respond to it can affect the outcome, with your mental, with your, the physical, and just how you're feeling. Is sometimes you see something bad happening in your life, and the easier response is like, man, it's everybody else's fault. But if you go back and think and just mentally tell yourself, all right, this happened. All right, I can affect this outcome right now with me responding this way. Let me respond this way. Let me focus on what I can focus on, and let's see if we can make this outcome better. And I feel like that's been really big in my life.
Man, that's awesome. I wrote it down. E plus R equals O. You just gave me some stuff I'm going to share with my players. So I appreciate that, and I think everybody watching and listening will get something out of that. Growing up, you have a bunch of different coaches, right? And you're really a coach now, not only from a football but also life. It's funny sometimes that out of nowhere, and you just remembered these guys that came and spoke to you, your team. Are there some times where you remember like something that a coach said to you? It could have been like junior high or something, just all of a sudden hits you, and you're like, man, I remember that now, and wish I'd have known it or remembered it a little earlier. Are there some things that maybe popped up for you that other coaches had maybe shared with you that you use today?
So one thing, it was a coach, but it's kind of like my dad as well. One thing he taught me, and he taught me this going into high school, and I tell a lot of guys this, and even this works for. It doesn't just affect you when you're going to high school. This affects everybody. It doesn't matter where you're at in life. He says, in life, everybody has a trash bag, right? And in life, everybody has a trash bag, or everybody is a trash bag, And he don't mean it in a bad way, but he was saying it in a way of everybody has a trash bag. When your trash bag gets heavy, a lot of people don't want to deal with it. It was like when it's a really heavy trash bag or it's a lot of junk in that trash bag, your mom doesn't want to take it out. I got to take it out. And he told me this. He was like, Ryan, the one thing I want to tell you is constantly work on trying to have as less baggage in your bag as possible. Because when there's a situation where it becomes you and someone else, and you guys have this, because everybody thinks that they're the best, but there's going to be a situation where somebody's comparing you versus somebody else. And when they're comparing you versus somebody else, the person with the least baggage, and y'all have the same resume, they're going to take that person. And because, like, my dad told me this going into high school, he said, there's three things that everybody in life talks about. Well, men or people that talk about. He was, and obviously this is sports related, but then it's also just building yourself around good people. He was like, when you're going in high school, because he was like, this is definitely a high school situation. People are going to talk about three things, and they're going to always act like they have more than they do, but they really don't. He was like, people are going to talk about money, they're going to talk about women, and they're going to talk about like drugs. He said this, and he said, people will always seem like they have more money than they do, they have more women than they do, or he was like, just try to stay away from drugs. He was just like, but he was like, it doesn't matter where part of life you're at. Those are the three things that people talk about the most. And he was like, if you hang out with people that talking about those things and they don't have them, those people find ways to add more baggage into your life. So try to stay away from those type of people. And to me, I try my best to do that. And everybody end up having a little bit of baggage here and there, but I felt like I made it pretty far and done really well in my life when I try to not add more baggage than I need to.
Yeah, man, that the baggage will get you, it'll weigh you down, won't it?
Yeah, it'll definitely weigh you down. Yeah, and it's crazy because it's just little things that people think aren't that serious. When you get older, they matter a lot.
Yeah, man, as a coach for young athletes, I mean, I'm doing the same thing, just trying to get them to kind of let some of those little pieces go, and it's powerful stuff. When you kind of think about how all those little pieces kind of come together, and man, it fills up that bag so quick, doesn't it?
So quick, so quick.
Are there some things that you do differently than maybe some other people that kind of in your spot that you're different now because of the stuff that you've kind of been through, and what would that look like?
So this is something I learned from Coach Tomlin, and it was don't run from adversity, run to it. You have to sit with it, you have to learn from it, you have to use it, and it helps you learn how to focus on your routines more than your outcomes because a lot of people they like to seek comfort. They like to find ways to like to make excuses, like I said before. And sometimes when things happen in my life, I try to look back through it and just understand, all right, I'm learning from this situation. Like everybody goes through adversity. Everybody understands what it looks like. But let me figure out how to pivot in this situation. I learned this as a kid and I learned this from Coach Tomlin because most people, they grow in that sense of discomfort. When you're feeling comfortable and you're feeling like things are perfect, that's where it's hard to grow when you already know what you're doing. But when you're doing things differently and changing how things are, then it's a huge shift in your life and you start to see a lot of momentum. And that's one thing that I felt like that was huge for me is when adversity hits, try to find a way to run to the storm instead of running away from it.
And that adversity is coming. It's always coming for all of us, right? We never know when and how severe, but that's a huge one to get across to young athletes, right?
Right.
Talk a little bit about the foundation, some of the work that you're doing to help people.
So I started the Ryan Shazier Fund, and it's to help individuals with spinal cord injuries try to help them find an independent and meaningful life. The one thing when it comes to having something so significant happen in your life, it becomes a very difficult time, and it becomes really hard for individuals because a lot of times people when they have everything in their life get taken in a moment, sometimes you're lost and you don't know how to move forward. But with the foundation, we found ways to try to continue to build community, try to help them with the resources that they need, and just provide just the support that they need. I was truly blessed with a lot of support, a lot of rehab, a lot of people in my corner. But the average person, when they're going through what I went through with a spinal cord injury, they don't get that same type of support. They don't get that same type of opportunity. So for me, I just wanted to help out with that. So we have different grants that we provide, and so we try to help the individual and we try to help their family, because a lot of people ask about how is Ryan doing, but nobody asks how my family's doing. Nobody asks how the caregiver's doing. So we try to help out in that aspect as much as possible, and we have a grant that gives up to $15,000 to families or with a spinal cord injury to help them find a way to independence again.
That's a really good point that you make there, that a lot of times it's the person that's dealing with the injury or the trauma, those type things, and those families, man, they kind of get overlooked and forgotten, but that is the support system, right? And that is the people around you. They're going to help you get over that hump, climb that mountain, and many times they do get overlooked, don't they? Yeah. And so you've got your tennis tournament coming up. Do you guys do any other events throughout the year to kind of raise some money?
Yeah, so we have an event called the Run for Black and Gold. It's happening in May this year. And then we also have an event that's actually next week on the 22nd. We're raising awareness. It's called Celebrate Shaleeve. That event that we have on the 22nd in January is that one. We're just celebrating the community that we build in, and just talking about individuals that have made an impact in this community when it comes to being outspoken about spinal cord injuries, being supportive, and just showing that fight every single day. So we support, and we have these type of events every year. But then we also have the Run for Black and Gold. The Run for Black and Gold is our premier event. That event is more of like it's based off the Kentucky Derby, where we have it's like an auction, a jockey auction, and then pretty much we raise funds, and it end up being a 50-50 raffle. So we end up having like a race with the jockeys, but we're not actually running, but it's more of a, it's kind of like with dice, and it's a really fun game, but we have a great time.
Cool, man. Well, much success with all your different events that are going on. I want to shift gears real quick just to kind of make something a little bit fun here. We're close to the national championship game, and unfortunately, the Ohio State is not in it. But give us your take on how college football has changed. And I mean, now we got this big playoff going on, and to some extent, it's kind of brought more exposure and fans to college football and stretched it out. But then also maybe the bowl game experience, those traditional bowls have gotten a little bit overlooked. What's your take on kind of where we are with college football right now?
So I understand on the business aspect with the bowl games, with them being taken out and guys not want to play in them as much. It definitely kind of hurts when it comes to the bowl game experience for some people. But for me, I'm a fan of how it's going, because at the end of the day, back in the day, I was looking up some records. I think Ohio State won a championship one year, and one of the years that Ohio State won a championship, there were 3 national champions. And I was like, hold up, what is this? And then, and I think it was a year that Miami won it or someone else won it before, and there was 2 national champions, and because they weren't playing against each other. So to me, and I understand that they figured it out a little bit better as things got, progressed. But like teams like UCF, like they still have national champions on their stadium and things like that. Or, to me, for them not to be able to play and experience the opportunity to compete against the bigger schools, I think it's worth it. Like, I know some people get mad at the outcome of some of the games, but those guys earned to be there. Even big time schools like Alabama got beat up pretty bad by Indiana's and those type of schools too. So I do like the aspect of the playoffs. I think that it's allowing some of the best teams to play each other, And, we end up getting teams like the University of Miami, who's ranked 10th in the nation, to be in the national championship game, because at the end of the day, the best team wins at the end. And, I thought Ohio State was the best throughout the year, and, but in the playoffs, they weren't the best team that day. And I actually like that aspect of college football now. I remember when I played, I would have definitely loved the opportunity of being in the playoff, because, we went 12-0 one year, and then we lost to the Big Ten championship, and then it kind of booted us out. But I feel like we had one of the best teams that year, and so I think it's very good. I think that we should try to find a way of getting like 16 teams or 24 teams. I don't know what that would look like. I don't know what bowl games, how that would look like. Maybe like I do like the aspect of people having home field advantage and things like that. I think that they should add that to the game. But I really like that aspect of how things are going in college football. It's making it very competitive, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's just different for some of us old guys. We're used to what we used to see, but it is nice to see more games, and I think we're headed in the good direction. Are there some things that maybe you got your eyes on, goals for you and in your foundation and what you guys are trying to do? I mean, what's up next for you?
So with the foundation piece, I would just continue to try to help as many people as possible. Right now, when we do Ryan Times, and I talk to people all over the country, but then we just recently branched out from the Pennsylvania, like Pittsburgh area. So now we're all of PA, now of all of Ohio, and all of West Virginia. And I would just love to continue to raise funds to be able to eventually help people all over the country. It's truly a blessing to be able to be there for individuals when they're in the hardest time in their life, and just trying to help them figure out a way to navigate through it. But then also when it comes to me, I've done a lot of motivational speaking, and I'm a public speaker now. So I really enjoy that aspect, and I would just like to continue to grow in that aspect and reach out and try to help as many people as I can when it comes to motivating them to understand that, adversity hits, but, we all can pivot through it. We all have experiences in our life that prepared us for these moments. So I'm really looking forward to just continuing in that path as well.
Man, last thing before I let you go, and this has been so much fun getting time to speak with you, and I know the listeners and those that are watching will really enjoy it. But you've been around a while. You've done a lot of things. You've been through some of those tough times. What would you leave coaches and or young athletes with as like some words of wisdom? Like if you can't remember anything else from our time talking here, let me drop something on you here. What would that be?
So when it comes to me, and the wisdom that I feel that I like to leave people with, is just fall in love with the process, because at the end of the day, people appreciate the work you put in. People think that they see the work you put in. A lot of times people just like to talk about the things that they do. And I think people just need to fall in love with the work and not the attention, because as you continue to develop over your skills, develop on the things that you need to work on, all the work that you put into it, it gets appreciated much more than you just saying what you can do, or you being over, you just, So I think just falling in love with the work and not the attention, because if you're doing good enough, you care enough, the attention, the money, and all those things will come with it.
You gotta love the process, don't you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Ryan Shazier, man, thank you so much. Look, if you're ever in Nashville, that's where I'm at. I'd take you out for a lunch or something, man. It'd been great to chat with you here. Thanks for watching Sport Fuels Life. Thanks to Ryan, and go Steelers, right?
Go Steelers.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon, man. Thanks for watching, everybody.
No problem.